Will Allie be watching?
This is the Brick Commentary Central. You're listening to the BCC Podcast.
It is Monday, December 5th of 2023, and you're listening to episode 373 of the BCC Podcast. I'm LQ. Joining me today is Leo.
Hello there.
And Ford.
Hey, everybody.
And Mace will be joining us in a moment. He is still finishing up the last cereal.
When he finishes squinting at his iPad, whatever he's reading on.
But yeah, another Bionicle episode.
This is how many in a row?
At least two.
Yeah, two, I guess.
Ooh.
Also,
So,
Guys, we're back. It's a Bionicle podcast again.
yeah. We
And
worked so hard to uproot those.
This is the third
kind of
Bionicle
demographics.
episode in the row, and the fifth in the last 2 months.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Sixth in the last 3 months.
Guys, we are so back.
Hey, it's actually been some stuff I've enjoyed since it's been somewhat separated from the norm.
You mean the community?
Well, yeah, this one isn't completely separated from the community, but I'll get to my thoughts.
It's from the more palatable part.
It's been a positive
more
impact from the
palatable.
community.
Yeah.
And not a project that so far has not ended in backbiting and infighting. And
It feels good to actually do something and have it be completed.
Yeah, it did
in some way.
So I commend it. So let's start off with a little bit of background. We're talking about today between the unofficial, official continuation / conclusions to the post-Bionicle serials.
the Greg
we talked
approved
about
ones.
it. Yeah, we talked about it before regarding Bionicle Day. So that's August the 10th, right?
Yep. So episode
Yeah.
shortly after that.
Yes. Where I guess the people who are running Mask of Destiny now.
Was that Bionicle Graffiti?
That was that episode. Yes.
Okay, that's episode
Yeah.
361.
Yeah, so Mask of Destiny, they have this thing called Myths and Legacy. And they've kind of, I guess, started consulting with Greg Farsty to continue the serials and at least finish the two that he left open, which were the Powers That Be and the Yesterday Quest. Nice ringtone.
Yeah, I thought it's usually on silent, but hey.
I could still hear the vibrations.
I know.
So we talked briefly about the first few chapters that have been posted when that happened, but more recently they finished up both stories. So we're going to be talking about that tonight.
In the live chat, I'm including a link to the Myths and Legacies Discord.
Yes.
Where they've been posting updates, and in their Visions of the Great Beings discussion chat, they have posted a few of their chats with Greg about what certain scenes should look like.
Oh.
And in that, we have learned that Greg continues to write nothing down.
Yeah.
So you should go there and read that for yourself.
Yeah, a word of advice if you're ever writing anything is outline, outline, outline.
Mark
Greg-
Twain didn't need outlines.
Neither did
Greg didn't either.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the most influential writers of our times. Neither of them used outlines.
Whatever.
Now, if you know in advance that you are not going to survive long enough to make your work
Then
reach
outline.
the masses, then you should outline. You should do what Tolkien did, so that your
Yes,
kids can profit
exactly.
off of the work after you're dead.
Outline so you can keep your estate alive.
In the words of ERB, making billions off my Silmarillion.
All right. Anyway, so these are not technically official, but they are in some way or form off of Greg's notes and approved by Greg.
So they kind of feel official in a way.
So I don't know how much Greg actually paid attention or cared, but I will say the end product felt very much like Greg's writing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I imagine he was mostly looking at this, reading, does this make sense?
Yeah.
But Greg
Is
wouldn't
this-
remember if something makes sense at this point.
But I think he's been around the community long enough to know, like, is this the spirit of Bionicle?
And
Like,
when you
the,
transition,
yeah.
when you transition from one chapter where he's writing it to the next where he isn't, you don't feel like that, I guess, like jarring effect of a different
Yeah.
writer
mean,
coming in.
I can
It's just
tell
the
that
style
it's
is a little bit different, but it's not so much that it's just gonna
Yeah.
like throw you for a loop and think, oh, you're
Like-
writing a different story.
the flavor is there.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
so
I think that's the
and
important
I
part.
was pleasantly surprised by that because there's been so many projects, like to have someone's unofficial continuation of Bionicle over the years. The mistake every single one of them made is they really tried to put their own spin on it.
I was more afraid it would be more like modern Star Wars. And it's
You mean made for modern audiences, for as broad and
I was very worried
For the
about that
niche.
too.
Did you ever read any of the writing of Chuck Wendig?
Chuck
No.
Wendig. That sounds like a familiar name.
Yeah, he wrote the kind of immediate sequel books to the original trilogy for Disney, and they are
Oh
trash
yeah,
of the
yeah.
lowest form. Like they're the trash that is underneath all of the trash.
Was he-
It stinks. It's awful. It should never see the light of day, but
So was
somehow
he-
it did. And
Was
it's
he writing
influenced him.
stuff that bridged the Gap
Yeah,
Between Return
yeah,
and
Yeah,
Force
I
Awakens?
forget. I forget what the books are called, but they're just
Oh,
so
they don't
awful.
matter.
I'm not
They're
sure how
so
we
bad.
devolved into this.
Well, the thing is, what I'm saying is like you go from like the really good EU stuff, like
Ford,
the
you
Thrawn
lost me.
trilogy, and you go.
He's
know
talking about
you, I
stuff
know
that
you.
kept the spirit of George's
Yeah,
work.
like you go to like the Thrawn trilogy, things like that, and then you jump into this, like comparing it. It's just like there is no comparison. The old stuff is better, right? And I was worried about that going into this. Like, oh, clearly Greg Farschi is the superior writer because he is actually a writer. But I was pleasantly
In job
surprised.
titled, yes.
Well, I mean, he's got a decade of work that speaks for itself. Does he not?
I mean,
Yep.
Okay, yes, Greg is very good at like building the outlines of stories. Is Greg like the best writer in all senses when it comes
I mean,
to dialogue or location or setting the scene?
Liam, the majority of his work is children's literature
I know, that's what I mean.
and role playing game rule books.
But yes, that's what I mean. Greg, I mean, so his portfolio, it's not a style of writing that's like that hard to get up to, is what I mean.
But I think what Ford is getting at is the new Disney stuff was a departure from the spirit of George's
Yeah.
writing
Yeah.
for Star Wars,
And I was
and a
worried-
spirit that the EU sometimes kept.
Yeah. And
the stuff they referenced more kept.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like Star Wars has fallen into the reference trap where it has to constantly reference things just so you can like be like, oh, it's Star Wars, yay!
To be fair, that was the most
and I
jarring
was-
part of these.
And it was the most jarring part of these. And one of my criticisms is that I hope they get away from that and start making something new, which they have done enough of.
I thought it was funny.
I don't mind some of the references. I don't mind, but some of it's a little too on the nose. In some cases.
It doesn't feel that those don't feel like something Greg
Yeah.
would have written.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some of the terms as well, they kind of rub me a little bit the wrong way. But
I
I'm
mostly
willing
saw
to.
that
I'm
in-
willing to let them go.
in the first few chapters they wrote is more
Yeah.
so where I found that, and
Mhm.
because there were some things that felt like they were really trying to figure out how do we get this
Yeah.
piece of exposition into here.
Like for those who have read them, I guess, and I guess that's you, of course. But it struck me as kind of odd that they were referencing like Mask of Destiny's own affiliate groups, essentially.
I don't think I even caught that one.
Oh, Well, it's more so in the Yesterday quest
Yeah.
than it is in the Powers That Be, which we'll be discussing
Yeah, well,
today.
let's start with let's just talk about Yesterday Quest.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
So, this is the weaker of the two. To be fair, it was the weaker of the two before they even got a hold of it.
But I think
I don't know.
I think it's a good thing they finished it last because you needed a strong start with the Powers That Be.
I don't know if it's good. I feel like this one would have been better to finish first because Powers That Be felt more like a conclusion.
Yeah, but Powers That Be needed to be the one, at least like for what they were going for with the way the story goes. It's the one that people needed to read first to get them behind the project.
I don't know.
I mean, no, it doesn't really
I'm
work
the
like that.
dissenting
They're
opinion, I think.
releasing simultaneously. You think Yesterday Quest
Like
is
going,
better, Leo?
like going with
That's
the.
not necessarily better, but I don't think
Mhm.
I think they're on the same tier. But Yesterday Quest is more my kind of story because
Yeah.
it explores something new and it has a more focused narrative.
Like
And
going with
Powers
the
That Be, while fun,
Mhm.
was all over the place.
Going with the Star Wars comparison again.
Let's not do any more
I
of
still
that.
hold. Well, it's quick, so just bear with me. But I still hold to this day that if they had started with Rogue One instead of Episode 7, a lot more people would have been behind them. Would have been behind Disney's vision for the franchise, including me.
Maybe.
Tempting me to
Just-
argue the flaws in the logic there, but that's
Yeah,
not what we're here to talk about.
Just on the surface, I think that's what they were going for here, though, in a way. But anyway, let's get into it.
I enjoy the more focused narrative of Yesterday Quest. There are some things that appear to happen because the plot needs to move forward, but they use characters to move that plot, which would make sense for this to be why that happens.
Yeah, I'll have to discuss more about what I think of Powers That Be when we get to it. We should probably save let's just discuss Yesterday Quest in itself to begin with.
Okay.
The beginning of this is still very slow, in my opinion. It takes quite a while to actually get me into it. And again, that's not their fault exactly. Remember, we discussed this last time too. I talked about that. Yesterday Quest just has a very slow startup.
And I think it was meant to be that way.
Yeah, I'm one who enjoys the slow burn.
Yeah.
That's something I can get behind. I think it works for the story of kind of just an exploration quest. You're feeling out the new land there.
I also felt a slight narrative whiplash when it started really moving.
I preferred it then at that point.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be, the most dangerous game for a little while longer before it was like, oh yeah, we just completely lost sight of this like hunting ground thing, and now we're just going to go for it.
I mean, yeah, things advanced very quickly.
Yeah.
Though I do think those are kind of the weaker elements, but I think that would have only been helped by there being one more chapter, I think, to help flesh out the conflict between the Earth and the Iron Tribe, which is not going to be that itself is going to have its own serial that they're going to focus on. I'm sure of it.
Oh, okay.
Since it's going to have ramifications of what Valika does in Powers That Be.
Are they doing more at this point? Because Greg wouldn't have notes on those, would he?
They are going to do more.
And is Greg going to be involved in those?
In the same process, yeah.
Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that.
Their stated goal is to get to the Matoran Civil War. All the stuff that Greg talked about in his interviews, like with TTV Channel,
Spherus Magnus Civil War.
The Great Being Civil War. I'm sorry, Great Being Civil War.
We made a video about the Matoran Civil War.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Basically, all the ideas that Greg had for how these things could end is what they're going to try and act on.
That scares me a little bit.
I think it could be fun.
Yeah,
given
that's what I want.
Powers That Be ended, it could work, and I definitely want to see where they're taking Yesterday Quest.
If they can keep up the same level of quality, then I'll be all for it. I'm just worried if the writers get bored at some point. Two things: they just abandon it partway through and are back to where we started.
You mean like every other Bionicle project?
Yeah, like every other Bionicle project. That was
but
good.
At least we've gotten this far.
I know, but it's gonna leave a stain on it. At that point. Two, they get bored of it and decide, I want to start making this more my own.
That's what I'm worried about. And I'm already starting to see like the threads begin with that. I feel like I don't know.
I don't feel like I necessarily had that, but I just feel like the further they
No.
get from what Greg had outlined and vision on, the riskier it becomes.
I mean, as long as they're still consulting with him,
Yeah,
I
'cause
think we're in good hands.
Greg
Their
could
goal was
die
not to-
anytime.
That's fair.
Don't jinx it.
Not until I meet him and get his autograph.
I don't think Greg goes out in public.
Is he as
I could
old
mail
and
something.
wait? Is he as old and in poor health as George R. R. Martin?
No, he's like my parents' age, I think.
Yeah, Greg's not that old, but I don't know about
Okay.
his health.
I mean, we know he's diabetic, so we got to watch his blood sugar. But
Yeah,
anyway,
their stated goal, like I said, is not to go beyond what Greg himself says. Like there is a definite conclusion in mind for this.
Okay, well that's good. Yeah, Greg's only 58.
So he's younger than my parents.
He looks very old.
Well, there are some people who just don't age as gracefully. It's probably the beard.
It is. It's
Yeah.
like a very like
yeah.
not. It's bordering on white, not even gray.
Because my dad can, his beard is very gray. Then again, he's had white hair for most of the time since I've known him. Made me very afraid for my hair.
Well, does he have all his hair still?
Yeah, he has all the men in my family have full heads of hair. It's just that he went gray early.
I don't. Gray
Oh.
is better than not having any. So
That's true.
if we get gray, then we have a whole new selection of minifigure hair pieces to go for
Oh, no.
Hmm.
But anyway, okay, so yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they did good here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few things in the story. I'll be honest, I reread all the beginning chapters of this one. I realized how much did not stick with me when I first read this.
Yeah, I had to
Like
reread
way back
both
when,
in
or
full.
Yeah, way back when it
Just now.
first came out.
Mhm.
yeah.
And then it becomes hard because when you get in those first few chapters, like transitioning into the new stuff, I forget how much was
Mhm.
actually stated in a story and how much of what the heavily talked about topics in the community were just things Greg said on the message boards.
Yeah.
You know, like, wait a minute, this is actually the first time this is showing up in this story.
Yeah, there's a great deal of controlled demolition around the site of Greg's ideas since the whole theme ended.
Which, to be fair, seeing them fleshed out in a story, the ideas feel a lot better and make a lot more sense in this form
Yeah.
than the way the community interpreted them.
Yeah, like I always figured that the execution would come, like, because Greg's always been able to execute on a narrative idea, on a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you agree with it being a good thing or not, some of that his stuff, some of that is the story team stuff, but like this would be all his stuff.
Greg is an
I
excellent
think-
lore master.
Yeah, and,
Yes.
and I think that the community was very uncharitable to some of the stuff, probably because they don't like change. They always want to have their own thing in the head.
But also, I feel like the way he did it here, we'll get into the subject more with powers that be, though, I think, so I'll save my thoughts. Just, like, I forget, like, were the Sisters of Skrull in something before? Weren't they in the last chapter books?
They
They
were
were in Empire of
in-
Skrull.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, they were there before. I'm trying to think of other things that may or may not have been shown.
Oddly enough, I built a model of one of the Sisters of the Skrull like 3 years ago. That
Oh,
had
yeah.
like it had a white color scheme to it, which fits really well with this story. So it's
Which-
good to have that character repurposed now.
We also have fleshed out a reason for why the Sisters of the Skrull were ostracized to begin with, beyond just being weird.
Because
Well,
they
that
were
was in
being
Empire of the
pointed to-
Skrull. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
that was in
latent
Empire of the Skrull.
That Scion Power was in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's this.
I don't think I ever read Empire of the Skrull,
I
actually.
faintly recollect a scene where they're like torturing Stronius.
I thought that was just because they're like witches or something.
No. I think they said they had psionic powers, or like
Hmm.
maybe Greg said it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It starts to bleed together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's been too long. I have lived a lot of life since that Greg Answers forum
Okay,
came up.
So let's start structuring this bit more. Let's talk about story beats. Tuyet died again.
I hate
Good riddance.
No,
Ford and I are divided on this point.
I think
Tuyet is one of my favorite Bionicle villains. To see her go out this way is dirty, and I don't like it.
Dark Mirror Tuyet is the only good Tuyet.
Tuyet should never have been resurrected to begin with, and this is a good way to demonstrate Mirandar's power.
It feels too meta.
Leo,
It
you have a
feels too
good
meta.
point there, Leo, except for then his power doesn't come into play.
Yeah, and then they end up
It's his-
repurposing her
it's his
later.
Stamina.
They end up basically making a new Tuyet later anyway.
No,
So
it's not a
what
new
was the
Tuyet.
point? Well,
no,
it
no.
kind of is.
No.
Zarya is different.
I'm not talking about Zarya.
No,
Oh.
I think Gary's talking about. Well, let's get to that in a moment because the other big
Yeah.
thing is, Leo, was the Earth Elemental Lord the one that was debated if it existed or not?
Yes.
So Greg
Well, it
obviously
exists now.
definitely had plans for it,
Yes.
which I think that was interesting.
Or at least the team had plans that Greg thought were great.
Yeah. So either way, I think this works. I actually quite liked how they did. I think it plays in well to what we saw of them in Riddle Elemental Lords and Riddle of the Great Beings.
Mhm.
So in Riddle of the Great Beings, we saw the fire and ice, right?
Yes.
I believe so.
No.
As they were
Did we also
fighting
see
when the
water?
metal
We
wolves.
saw fire.
I thought
I
it
don't
was
remember
water.
water.
Did we see water? We saw stone too, or sand.
It's been too long.
Because remember the one that
We saw a
shapeshifts
bunch
at
of
the
them.
end.
Yeah.
But obviously, Earth then was trapped on Bodamagna.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But also, it sounds like here she basically enslaved the Water Tribe.
Or at least the
Yeah.
remnant that was on Bodamagna.
So I'm trying to remember if the Water Elemental Lord showed up or not. Because I'm wondering if it was she killed it.
Well, you mean the stuff that was dragged up from like at the end of her scene?
No, the stuff
Like
that's
her-
oh, that was Tuyet's, or yes, that was Tuyet's body.
Okay. All right.
Did
I
you-
didn't connect that for some reason.
Yeah, that was Tuyet's body.
Okay. Oh, dang. So she's gonna have the Nui Stone, or at least
The
fragments
Nui
of it.
Stone was destroyed,
Yeah.
but I think what they're doing is basically they're repurposing Tuyet's body to combine it with the Earth Elemental, so she has Earth and Water powers.
And water, so she can be a better
Yeah.
leader.
Mm-hmm.
But not knowing that the Nui Stone was embedded in the armor would make it stronger.
Except it's not necessarily embedded in the armor in this case, was it? Because she
Yeah.
actually held the
Believe it
Nui Stone,
was.
and the Nui Stone was destroyed first before her head.
Because there are two
was.
Nui Stones. Because there are two Tuyets.
What? I think I lost track of what's going on with that.
This is why it makes no sense for Tuyet
Okay,
to have
yeah.
been brought back.
So the Element Lord of Water was in Riddle of the Great Beings.
in
Okay,
Riddle
so
of
the
the
When
elemental.
when
So
our
this
three
Water
heroes,
Tribe
so
people
when
were
Tarda,
just...
Cretaceous, and Kerbold were on the river
Oh, you're right. I'm
with the
recalling this.
archway,
Yeah, they threatened to kill
and,
him.
yeah, tried to kill them, but then they did the thing and stuff. Yeah, the Lord of Jungle was also there.
You
Things
know the
happened.
thing.
So the Earth,
Yeah,
so the Elemental Lord of Earth was like the only one on Bodom Magna, and it just enslaved whoever was there, basically.
Yes.
It also is
Being-
interesting they kind of touch on that the Iron Tribe did not get an Elemental Lord, even though Sand, Rock, and Earth did.
It's because they suck. Yeah, it's like I don't. What it wasn't confirmed that they had one necessarily. I didn't think the Rock Tribe had one, did they?
Pretty sure they
Because
did.
that was the scrawl.
They did.
Yeah, they do. Oh, hello, Mace. Have
Hello.
you completed
Sorry,
your
I'm
reading?
late. I have completed all of
Okay.
it and got my turkey
Cool.
out of the oven.
Nice. We're talking
A
about
whole
the Earth
turkey?
Elemental Lord.
The Earth Elemental Lord.
Yes,
Yeah. Discussing it, or do you have a question for me
we are discussing it.
specifically? Okay. It's an interesting idea and very Mother Nature.
Yeah, there was
Gone
rock
wild,
and
yeah.
sand.
oh, it makes
Leo.
sense.
Aha! I see an article here.
I think her reveal as a guy
Okay,
was
so
little
yeah, was
sudden.
one of the scrawl, and then
What was
That
that, Mace?
power.
Sorry, you cut out a little.
Well, I think her reveal as a bad guy was a touch sudden.
I don't think it was really sudden. I mean, all of the elemental lords
Yeah.
are kind of power.
I felt you could see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she dropped the pretense like on a dime.
While they were being attacked.
of being nice. True.
Again, it
true.
feels like they're trying to do two yet, but again,
I don't think they're trying to do two.
I don't see any two yet. Here.
I think
It
you're
died
just obsessed
real
with two yet.
fast. It was kind of funny
I mean,
though.
you know this.
Oh yeah, you missed. We did talk about two yet's death already, Mace.
It was funny, and she had it coming.
Yes. There we go.
I am sad.
Good.
I did not. I would have liked to have seen that animated or something.
Okay, me too.
There we
Okay,
go.
so yeah,
Permission.
confirm. Also, an interesting thing, both around Tuya and the Elemental Lord, they also heavily reference like the Agori in this beat region being organic. They don't have technical components to them.
Outside of a
Meanwhile,
lot of the iron ones, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
so
iron
the
one-
Iron Agori have implants.
Hmm
Yeah.
But then the other
Which-
ones are like all flesh with
Yeah.
some
Yeah,
play
which-
armor.
Which to me would make sense given how the Earth tribe has been set up as, the
Hippies.
Element Lord has to have control, has to have some kind of leverage over them
I was
in
getting
one way or another.
I was getting Two Towers vibes from this one, from this conflict.
How so? Vixen?
Well, like the Earth Tribe are essentially like the Ents in this case, and they're fighting the fires of industry.
Hmm.
Yeah.
In their heads.
Like they specifically say like we don't like
That's
industry.
true, yeah. But then the Iron Tribe also said, like Dulus was talking to Zarya, said that they leave their lands pristine while they plunder our home of its resources.
So it's kind of like the give and take, but
Yeah.
kind of opposite in a way. It's very odd.
But then, yeah, the Earth Tribe also is like very overly against technology in this case. Like, basically,
Yeah.
it sounds like they just bullied the Iron Agori, who didn't
Yeah.
do anything wrong except for didn't want to live as hippies.
Yeah.
Any power that the Earth Element Lord can't directly control, I think, is forbidden.
Mhm.
I think that's going to be the crux of her conflict.
I
going
think you're
forward in
right.
the next serials.
Oh, I want the next one now. Is the problem?
Oh, you got
I
away.
assume you enjoyed this then, Mace?
Oh yeah. I was just designing this morning some Bionicle related stuff out of my spare pieces. So this was very timely for me.
I'm not the only one getting the creative bug. From
It's not ready yet.
yet.
There's also some interesting stuff how much this crossed over with powers that be, with like the explosion. And that's where it gets like,
Mhm.
this has always been a thing with the BionicleStory.com stuff. Really hard to piece together crossovers in the stories.
Yeah.
It threw me off in yesterday, but in Powers That Be, I was prepared for it.
Yeah. I read Powers That Be first like
So
a week
did I.
ago. And I had to like recall while reading the Yesterday Quest today, like the events that were happening in tandem.
Mhm.
Because Kaburo shows up in both. Like he's kind of like
Yes.
one of the connective tissues.
And then you
and,
see why he stops following them after a point.
Yeah. So his exit from the story felt kind of like weird until I remembered, oh wait, he's in the other one doing all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
A fun time.
Another thing in the chapter where Tuyet dies.
Okay.
Miranda specifically mentioned there being 4 or dozen Toa left.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is not as many as I would have thought.
That's 48, so he's already killed one of them.
No, he said 1 down, 4 dozen to go. So
Yeah,
Yeah, so
4
that's
times
48
12 is
left.
48.
so yeah, there's
Yeah.
48. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there weren't that many after the.
They're supposed to be like
um,
less than 50.
Now,
Yeah.
would he be able to count the 3 on the red star, though?
Mm.
I think he would know about the Toa Nuva. Because
Yes,
they
but
were
would he
all there.
know that they were in outer space? Would he be able to scan that?
When he
far?
got out, they weren't there yet.
Probably not, because Lesvik must have
Oh,
died all beforehand.
That's true.
Hmm.
When he got out, they weren't there yet. But when he killed, no, yeah. But
And
were
then
they
think
in
about-
space?
Yeah, because think
It's
about
when
all
he
the
killed
Toa
her.
that are that could be on the station, essentially.
Well, also, when they're on the station, they're basically dead except for Kobaka. and
We'll talk
Fahatu.
about
Yeah,
that.
the ones that haven't gotten the zombie.
The one in
virus anyway.
station don't really count in many ways. That we'll get to when we talk about powers that be, I think.
I'm only referring to the living ones. Would he
Yeah.
be able to sense them?
For all intents and purposes, the story knows. I think
Yeah,
so.
let's just say 48. That's a safe number to assume.
48, which being 6 Toa Nuva, 1 Taka Nuva, 5 Toa Mari.
Rest in peace.
The Toahaga.
Oh, I forgot about the
Mhm.
Toahaga.
Helrix at the time of it being mentioned.
Yeah, Helrix.
Our 3 heroes in this one.
It's another 4. What do we got? 20?
Something like that.
So that
I wasn't
leaves,
counting.
leaves 28 mocks for people to fill in for themselves.
Is there any other
Okay.
living Toa?
Oh god, what's his name?
Sonic
Krakoa.
Sky.
Krakoa. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Krakula. So 27 left over.
Did we already count Takanuva?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Makes
All right.
Need more toe of ice there. It's a shortage.
Well, there's only 1 Toa of iron left.
Also, and then I think it's around like chapters 8 or 9. I thought there wasn't going to be that many names in because Greg had a limited number and he lost the list. So I thought maybe
yeah, and then
this would
suddenly they just start name dropping people like randomly, and I'm like, oh, are these going to come up later? Do I have to remember these? And then they just go away for the rest of the story.
No, a lot of them come up. Galuis is a weird spelt name.
It is a weird spell name.
Well, there's like
But I dig
the
that.
Earth Lord's like advisor council or
Yeah,
whatever.
the Tuglatorian.
Which is really weird that they like get names for.
Well,
like,
I'm sure
such
they're going to
small bit
factor into
parts.
her future plans.
I guess. And then the 2 sisters of the Scrawl.
Who will also surely factor again as well.
Also,
Mhm.
something with the Iron Tribe people here. I thought all the Iron Tribe was wiped out by the Dream Plague pre-shattering.
I know
guess
there are a
not.
lot of wanderers, like the guy in the Scopio.
Yeah, there's a couple of others.
Yeah.
But this seems like a whole lot of them that weren't wiped out by the Dream Plague.
But they're biological and they've been living in a community for a while. A lot of them are probably weren't from the time of the Dream Plague.
It's
Children.
like the ones like running things probably remember the Dreaming Plague, and were
so
wise
someone in
enough to get away
Bionicle
from
actually
it, but
reproduced?
It's possible.
I guess so.
Only maybe.
I mean, I guess if you pay attention to the literature, it is possible.
Mhm.
That's what they tell me.
So yeah, from the conflict with the Iron Tribe and the Earth Tribes, we go to the north, to the Frost.
Yeah.
In
Which
search
apparently
of
got shuffled around in the reforming by Montanui.
Well, then they kind of mentioned later it was shuffled back to how it used to be.
Yeah.
and now there's like this sort of like not like a demilitarized zone, but like a border refuge site.
Yeah. The queen of the ice tribe in that particular moon said they can stay in the dirt in that area.
I feel like I might have missed something in this part.
Yeah, it just it kind of like comes out of the blue, like, oh, it's like between this these 2 zones, and it's kind of flanked by this like field of mist where
Yeah.
people hallucinate things for whatever reason.
And then they
there's no
said
explanation
that the
given as
people who
why.
tried to go to the ice tribe got kicked out for a while until this new name popped up and took over the ice tribe, and then she let
That's
them
what we'll call it. We'll
stay
call
in
it
the
the
border.
neutral zone.
Okay.
Because it does. That's the thing. Like, I know Greg is a fan of Star Trek, and I'm pretty sure that's what he was going for with this. So
I don't
the
think
neutral
Greg
zone
wrote that bit.
Yeah, the neutral zone, it's like this space between the Federation and Romulan controlled space that you can't really like go into, but you also can't do things in, but everybody does things there anyway. So nobody really cares. I guess that's what he's trying to, or like what he had planned for this. Like he had some stories planned for it, but it's just kind of here and it goes away anyway. Like they're there for seconds. It's very
Did this
strange.
part come from Greg, or did it come from the people writing it?
I don't know, because I feel like it could have been from either. Leo needs to get back because I need to talk about this with him. I know he likes Star Trek.
I think we can move on because it wasn't that huge a part of it overall.
Yeah.
But not
So
really.
they're on their way to the Spirit Forge, and this is where I guess like the great beings did a lot of different experiments on the natives and the wildlife and all that.
Yeah.
And it's where they may have,
Cameos.
we find out they did, develop the first Toa.
Mm-hmm. And if you say those words, then holograms of them will appear, apparently.
And apparently they're the Slizers.
Yeah, the slides and the throwbacks. I have felt a little bit too fan service.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like the key jingling that people refer to.
Mm-hmm.
Just a cameo for the sake of it. And
That's the
then they
term
are
I
all
was looking for.
gladiators who beat each other up and then they regenerate endlessly forever. It
I
sounds
mean,
like a
yep.
pretty terrible existence, actually.
It's a harmless enough reference, but it just does not. Greg didn't reference stuff like that. It does not feel like something he would have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not agree.
Again, harmless, all things considered, but also
Yeah.
the Hero Factory.
That one I was a little more okay with.
I don't think I got that reference.
Did you not pick up on any of these, Ford?
I was in a
They
rush,
said,
okay?
Like, well, heroes made in a factory is like.
They
an
said Hero
actual line.
Factory with one word or two between them. I feel like it wasn't hard to miss.
Yeah.
And they repeated it in the same line.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will say that I do kind of have an issue with the direction this part took is they start treating the Matoran universe people as way too just mechanical and ignore the biological portion of
Yeah.
it.
I definitely agree.
I didn't really have too much problem with that because I felt it was more to showcase just how tooled and fine-tuned they were supposed to be, like machines are for us. Like, yeah, they're biological, but they are also constructs in the end.
Yeah, and I guess I've just always kind of been against the idea of the Matoran universe inhabitants relating more to constructs or robots as an actual living, breathing species. Which they do reference more so in the earlier part of this, when the one great being references that they became a species in themselves. They became like real living being creatures. But it feels like in the later parts of it, they kind of lose sight of that.
I think because for those parts, that is what's going to be at the forefront. Since this is their inception, this is the genesis of Matoran and Toa in Taraga before Velika's interference, and then Powers That Be, I think, picks up on that thread.
I think potentially it's to emphasize the difference between the natives of both universes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Try to give both a firm identity.
But yeah, I mean, it's again minor nitpicks basically.
Yeah, it was still good. The next one was way better, but it was still good.
Well, are we going to just gloss over the fact that Gelu dresses up as a great being and tells Mirendar to just stop it?
I mean, it's a little bit more than that.
And then Angance comes from the ceiling, says the same thing, and then he just leaves.
Yeah, I like the idea of trying to
felt-
explain to him.
Yeah. Sorry,
But I don't like the execution too much.
But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Luke in the hallway. Tell me it doesn't.
In the Mandalorian hallway?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's basically just Luke in the hallway saving the day.
Yeah.
But it's also clearly building to something and important to where the narrative was going for them to be able to confront one.
My hope would have been that we could have seen Ord kind of redeem his mistake that he made with the Zyglax, since that seems to be what the writers were alluding with the setup between him
But
and
I guess
Gelu.
they're just not ready to do that yet.
Yeah, I
for
think
whatever
that would
reason.
have needed more time to set up Murendar as an
Mhm.
entity than him appearing in just 2 chapters, essentially. He also, his design, I don't know if this is intentional, but it sounds a lot like the silver mock that Var made, which was the big robot in the Hero Factory, the first Hero Factory special.
No one knows where it is.
No one knows where it is.
That's still so funny to me that Var made that and it was in there. He never got the check. And also how they decided
Well,
how...
he got the check, it just wasn't good because it used the European dating system instead of the American one.
Oh.
Which, to be fair, a more competent teller probably could have recognized.
Yeah, they could have. Did he ever get the money?
I don't
No,
think so.
because I don't think his mom didn't even believe it was real.
I wouldn't let that go.
He was young, so
Yeah.
I would reopen the wound.
I don't think the guy probably doesn't even work at Lego at this point.
I would. That wouldn't stop me.
But what's funny though is that he just the way they also went about it, like after the contest, it was never part of the contest that they would pay the winner for the mock and take it, you know. But then he's like, "How much do you want for it?" Didn't one of our tell him like $300 or something?
I thought they just gave him like a check for 500.
Something like that. But yeah, no, it was Var
Yeah.
told him, I think, how much.
Var told him? Okay.
If I recall this story correctly.
Yeah, well, like they're trying to compensate him for the
Yeah.
yeah. It's been a long time since I've actually heard it, but
Because I remember him saying it was like in that time that was a lot of money to me, and then I'm like, wait, and he just accepted it so immediately. I'm like, should I have asked for more?
I would have said royalties, please. But
You're not gonna get many royalties from a Hero
Not off
Factory.
Hero
I mean,
Factory.
You're
Yeah.
not, but you
No.
know.
It was truly one of the shows ever made.
Yes. Yes, it was.
it had Mark Hamill in it too.
So does everything animated.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. Now I'm imagining Anne Gaunt's voice.
Honestly,
by
I
Mark
don't
Hamill.
have that much more to say about yesterday.
Yeah.
It
I
kind of
agree with-
ends without anything really being
Yeah,
resolved.
like it's just
Yeah.
like the big cliffhanger story to keep you wanting more.
Yeah, I don't think that the problems with the ending, I don't think are necessarily in the fact that it ends without a definite resolution, more that Murendar is sent away into the darkness.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have handled that much better, although I do
Yeah.
like the idea of it.
I think the stuff with Agnaughts coming in is fun, makes sense, but he probably should have been built up as like I guess the reader can suspect that he is following Murendar around since in chapter 1 he's there
Yeah.
at the launch site.
Like
The
he could have
foreshadowing
been a
would have been really
constant.
good.
Yeah, like he
Yeah.
could have been a constant presence. Tracking our Toa and
Yeah.
Platorian heroes around.
And
Even
I
just
guess
a sentence every 2 or 3 chapters would have
Yeah, like maybe like a
Would have
little
done-
thing.
maybe not that much.
I don't know. Maybe in like the
2
ninth
or
or 10th
3.
chapter.
It's only 12 chapters. Like
Yeah,
2
like
or
I was
3
thinking,
is
like
enough.
maybe put like a paragraph or two in the ninth or 10th chapter, going back to like the Iron and Earth tribes, saying like, "Oh, hey, maybe Miranda walks up and he's like, huh, something happened here. Hey, look, traces of Toa. I know where to go."
I thought he did have that moment where
Maybe
he
I'm
says like, "There's
misremembering.
all these entities moving here, but I have my eye on the prize."
I thought that was
Yeah.
Mirandar.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That I thought Murendar had that moment.
I believe he did when he
Yeah,
came
he did.
across
Yeah.
the area where they originally scuffled.
Yeah, he did.
Well, wait, wasn't that at the tower that blew up?
That was after that.
That was
Yeah,
afterwards.
Wait,
because he had
am I
already killed 2
misremembering?
yet.
Oh, whoops.
Because he's following the 3 Toa as they head, I guess, north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have gotten. Well, that's the thing. Maybe we could have gotten a scene where he ends up at the neutral zone town, refugee camp thing.
I don't feel it's necessary.
Yeah, Leo, you weren't here.
He had no business
so
with them,
like
and they had no business
I,
with
I
him.
was thinking the refugee camp was like the neutral zone from Star Trek. Okay, nothing on that. Okay.
Is that? That's
Remember
you
all the
have like these
tribes settled
two,
in the
yeah,
ice
because like you
tribes?
have these two like kind of warring factions on either side of it, looking in and
oh, you're
seeing
talking
like,
about like
what's
the
going
Romulan.
on. Yeah, like
or-
the Romulan Federation neutral zone.
Okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
track.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was like a Greg idea or something that they're like projecting onto it.
I imagine that's
Whatever.
something they may have come up with.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
Well, we need to move on to the next.
The more
the
important one.
superior one.
The more exciting one.
You're also in the same boat. Then it sounds like Mace.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I very much enjoyed Powers That Be.
I do have one complaint though.
Let's start
My
by
boy
the
Noc-
complaint.
Nocturne went down without doing anything
Mace!
in the narrative at all.
Mace! That's that's the purpose of his existence.
Yeah,
dwarf.
but I always thought he was so cool looking.
He's supposed to get wharfed every time.
Now everyone's
filled
Nocturne
his
missing
role.
pieces is the canon version of Nocturne.
Oh, I should replace his swords with legs. Yeah, just like in the story.
No, I very much enjoyed this one. Again, took me a little bit to get back into it, but once we got back to On the Red Star, for one, I was always extremely skeptical and did not like the idea of the Red Star, the way the community taking it. This took
Man,
it,
they stuck the landing with it
yeah,
though.
they completely did.
Yeah.
This did it, dealt with it the best way possible, where it did not feel like
Stuck
it
the landing
undoes
in more ways
anything.
than one. A.
I
I
remember,
had
like-
zero expectations of them tying any narrative threads into anything resembling satisfaction.
I mean,
But they tied them all into a cohesive narrative. I don't know how they did that, but I'm impressed.
well, it's because they did not do the thing that I would have done, which is have Draga that's there, so that then they can tie it in with the big Velika reveal.
Wait,
and have
Leo,
it make sense.
sorry, you cut out it on my end.
You
Can you
cut
repeat that?
We
We didn't hear the beginning.
I was saying it's because they didn't do what I would have done if I was writing this, which was have Lekon play the role of Joven. Because if you do that, then you don't get the satisfaction with the Velika reveal.
But I liked. Yeah, I liked.
Yeah.
I
Joven
think it was
doing
way
that.
better.
It's a
than
good
the
idea.
Joven.
That was a cool
better than-
little twist that they.
It's
put
better
in,
than what I was thinking.
Plus, we got a Likan moment still.
which was
Yeah, but
a little dirty. Gotta admit.
I
but
actually
I
prefer
liked
that
it still.
I liked that none of the essential important characters had any coming
Any
back
agency.
from the dead agency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of
Plus,
like
it was
gave the
wonderfully
story.
painful.
Yeah, it gave the story like kind of like some stakes,
poor
like
Ihu
a little bit
too.
more. What's up?
Poor Ihu too.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember Lekon having any connection to Ihu.
He was
So,
on the
yeah.
same team.
Teammate.
I didn't
Yeah.
think Ihu was a
Thing.
Toa.
He
No,
was
no,
one of the
Ihu
Toa Men guy.
was. I thought he was Nuju's mentor.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Ihu was Nuju's mentor.
Wait, I thought
Let's
he was
determine the
one of Toa
truth.
Men guy. Am I thinking somebody else?
Yeah,
Anyway.
he was just a Matoran.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was killed when Nui
Oh.
Rama attacked the chute he was riding.
Oof. Car
Oh.
accident.
That's more than a car accident.
It's like hitting a moose.
Yep.
It's like the moose hitting you.
Yo, that's
Deer
it.
in the headlights.
That's kind of what always happens.
He was
Except the moose
devoured
has
by the
wings and
bees.
a sting.
He was
Moose doesn't
devoured by
give.
bees.
The bees.
The bees are. He got Wicker Man.
Anyway, yeah, there wasn't any bringing people back. It
Mhm.
also kind of further established the rules, which some of it was kind of heavy-handed, how they had to put it in there. But I'll give it that. It was fine.
I liked Lysavik's blaze of glory.
It also,
Yes.
yeah, that was very good. It also
finally
kind
had
of
a story
established,
purpose.
like, which most people assume at this point, oh, Red Star just mean everyone was always brought back, which this kind of confirmed no, in a lot of cases, if a Matoran died, there wasn't enough to salvage. It was in
Yeah.
some cases.
it had also
Joven
been confirmed-
specifically references that.
Yeah, it had also been confirmed by Greg that like you had to have something left of you on the surface to be like reforged, I
Yeah.
guess. in the Red Star. So if like
But
you're not going to see any of the Makuta there because they were all like
Gas.
yeah,
disintegrated.
and with that discussion, of
air.
course, we've already been done to death. But
Yeah.
this goes further and says, like, even with Matoran, like, it's possible even if they still had part of their body there, it wasn't going to be necessarily reparable.
Like
Which
something
really-
gucked up the works, and now
Really plays up the horror aspect too.
Yeah.
I
when you
think
get
they
there.
could have, and maybe this is like a rights issue with Lego, but I think they should have come up with a better name than Shriekers.
Yeah, but
Like Batera,
it
they're
did
assassins,
the-
right?
It did the job well enough. for me.
Paraka, that means they're
Ford,
like
remember where
what,
they're at this
gang
point in the
members or
story.
whatever.
They can't use names for new species.
I
Also,
know,
this is-
I know, but
This
it would
is
have been
also
cool.
an unofficial.
Yeah. So
I know.
This is also very likely not Greg's name.
Plus, they're not a new species or anything. They're just zombies.
I know. I just think it would have added a little bit. I'm not saying it reminded me of G2 and that like they wouldn't come up with little like colloquialisms.
I
Like how
guess
like
if
like how
they wanted to.
Transformers does it, like how Transformers G1 did it, like with Petra rabbits and all that.
I'll show you Petra rabbits.
Yeah. Cesium salami, beryllium bologna, that kind of thing.
Well, that's also
Like-
stupid.
now,
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Fun, but stupid.
around chapters
Well,
5,
that was tree speak.
before we get to our overall thoughts on it, once again, let's go through not beat by beat, but from the story beats we want to discuss.
sounds great.
I will say I was kind of afraid for part of it they were just going to kill everyone that was in that one great being prison because they
too.
because they had Lewa get carried away off screen,
Mhm.
and then
Well, Lewa got carried away at the end of.
Yeah, and he's
Did he?
rescued by.
I didn't remember
Yes.
him getting carried away, to be honest.
You don't remember this integral story beat about
Yeah,
why
he
he could
gets
not be
carried
there with the
away.
other 5 Toa at the
Yeah,
end?
he's
of
No, I
the
remember-
story?
he's just like exploring, and then
Yeah,
the
leaves
Agora
of his own volition.
capture him, kind of.
I remember him
and-
being with that other group, and that's why he wasn't with the other 5 Toa, but I don't remember him getting carried away.
Yeah, the Agori capture him, and then when we see him again, he's C-3PO.
No, I remember that part, Ford. I remember I just don't remember prior to that. But anyways, I thought since they got rid of Lewa, they was like, okay, now we can just kill them all off.
Not Vezon.
I'm so glad they didn't do
can't
that.
kill
Well,
Vezon,
Vezon had
come
the
on.
built-in out
Yeah,
that the other
Greg-
ones didn't have.
Greg
So
wouldn't
yeah,
have
if they
let
did
them
kill all of them, it wouldn't have
kill
included him.
Yeah.
I'm
I wouldn't
good.
have let them kill Vezon.
I'm glad that they all survived so that they could meet far more satisfactory ends and continuations.
I'm glad Brutaka and Axon are still alive. I like them. They're bros.
I'm glad they're still palling around together. They have their most relevance with
Yeah.
each other.
I forget. Where is Mizeka and the light pterodax? Where are
They're
they? in
melding
the
the
story
two?
at this
Right.
point?
Oh gosh, good
Shoot.
grief!
That was such a
Why are there
weird
so many
point.
characters in this?
Because like we haven't touched base with them in like
Okay,
over a decade.
let's forget about stuff that this doesn't touch for a moment.
Yeah,
But anyway,
maybe Midrix is heading to find him. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mizerx
Last
flew
one.
off too.
that seems perfectly in character.
So
for-
going
Yeah.
next on the point where they have a point where there's a bunch of mangled bodies that they burn alive. That's probably one of the darker aspects.
Mm.
yeah, very pragmatic though. It makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
It reminded me of Torchwood Miracle Day. It was the last season of Torchwood, where the premise is that everybody is immortal on the planet Earth because of shenanigans, and they just decide to start burning people alive because they can't keep up with the population. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that's what this reminded me of, and it was very, very dark back then. It's dark now. But
Then the next
yeah.
interesting point was, and I asked you guys this, but you can confirm it. Then they meet the one Matoran from Karzani that lets the Toa
Yes.
and Nika get away in the Toa canisters, which I
Yes.
guess after Karzani found out, he killed him.
Probably.
well, I thought the implication was that he like knew Velika, and that Velika may have killed him, or am I
No.
misremembering?
I thought it was that.
Because he was the one that like the vision from Tren Krom kind of directed them to.
Yeah. So Trenkrom knew about this guy because he knew of Lika. And then when
Right.
Velika
Now I
knew that
remember.
Kopaka and Pohatu knew about the vision trend Crom was showing them, he knew they had to be stopped, so he had to go up there and cut them off at the pass.
Yeah,
But he didn't succeed.
because the builder was one of the had to be one of the first Matoran because he was an Avatoran.
Yeah, didn't he
Right.
have something he had to do with Trent
Yeah,
Crom?
so he would
Yeah,
have
it was
he had to
mentioned
do
in the
with Trent
story that
Crom,
he was killed
so
by
he would have
Karsani.
remembered who Velika was by proxy.
Yeah, so he would have had the only
That's
time
right,
Kurzani would have
okay.
had killed him would have been after the Toa Naika escaped.
Yeah.
But he's like okay, even though he's only gotten there recently.
He was already insane. He
Like
wasn't
you think
already
about
all
the time,
there.
yeah. Like you think about the timeline, he's only been there for maybe 2 years, at most.
Yeah, but he had gone insane on the island of Karzani a long time ago, I
Yeah,
believe.
so he was fine. He'd be fine.
That's probably why he was fine. He had already seen
I think it
stuff
also
like that.
kind of depends on the extent of the damage their death caused, too.
Yeah. I think the Kestora had it coming, and I don't shed any tears for them.
Also, Kapura, they actually utilize his powers in the story now, which is something I don't feel like Greg would have ended up doing.
No.
Not
That was
that's
cool.
bad.
I like that.
I think that was good.
I
like
forgot
that,
how did Kapura and Hafu get in that fortress?
They were with
think-
some of the Toa.
Were they
during
guiding
Dark-
Helrix down there?
I believe so.
Oh gosh,
I think they were.
I gotta
with
reread
Lita.
all of it.
so many
Right?
loose ends.
Once the next one starts airing, I might
You'll
just
have to
read
reread
all
Reign
of
of
it.
Shadows.
I have to
Yeah.
reread everything.
Yes.
Yeah, all of it.
I have forgotten how all these parts line up.
I mean, I
Because
have to
originally, not a lot of them did.
No,
I have to reread Chronicles for the book
Now,
club.
to be fair, you talked
That's
about
right.
this story does do a good job of wrapping up a lot of those.
yes,
Yes.
everything at the end of this
Yes.
serial is ready for the next one. It's all packaged. We have the ending with the Toa that we should have gotten at the end of Bionicle.
Yes, I completely.
Yes.
This to me felt like it gave me a lot of closure.
Which is
Yeah.
why I think you like it better than
Yeah.
the ending of Yesterday Quest, because there's a more catharsis with it.
It makes
Also,
'cause, like,
more characters I care about personally.
Yeah.
I don't really like the idea of the Red Star being destroyed, but oh well, it's a narrative thing. Something has to change. I get it.
I mean, they're gonna end up harvesting the stuff from it anyway. Which,
I didn't
Well,
like
that
the
doesn't make
idea-
it
That-
better.
yeah, that might introduce some problems because, like, if the Shrieker stuff can like spread from between living beings, then you've now introduced the zombie plague on Sirius Magna.
It's destroyed for all intents and purposes.
I mean,
yeah,
we hope
everything
we hope.
was destroyed beyond recognition.
Also, I don't
essentially.
think it was
It's
like a
all
virus.
scrap
The
metal.
Shrieker thing was just a result of the Kestora not being able to rebuild them.
I thought it was a
Velika
result of them
implies that it could
realizing.
happen to all of them given enough
Yeah.
time.
I thought that was more about them not having any destiny.
Maybe it's a combination. The way I got it was because they weren't able to perfectly rebuild the bodies anymore. That
Oh,
then
the Velika's temptation moment, he seemed to imply that he could be lying, of course, but he seemed to imply that he could save Kopaka and Pohatu from that fate if they went with him.
I
And
think
then you
it
had
was
Lee
kind of more of a
Khan.
comparison
Yeah.
than a literal.
Then you had like Lee Khan, who was incomplete, and then eventually he just kind of became a zombie.
Yeah, but I think it basically, their AI was never meant to be reactivated on the Red Star, so it kind of screws them up at that point.
That does make a lot of sense. It was
Okay.
built long before Velika gave them the brains.
So since, like, for example, they teleport up there with that one combination set guy, and then
Gardas.
Lesavec used the teleportation wish gate from Riddle of the Great Beings, since they didn't die and they actually have, like a memory that actually leads them there, they wouldn't end up going into the psychosis the other people do of dying and then ending up in some hellscape.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
What is there any? Did anyone have any ideas why Joven lasted longer than everyone else?
Because the story needed him to, and he was made of sterner stuff.
He was very important for the story, but I already know that part.
I think it's
Does anyone
obvious-
have any idea?
that comes
He's
in
just
already
built
theory.
different.
It just depends
Yeah.
on like how well they're able to actually do the repairs and get them into there. Just a variety of factors, whether or not their system had a shock.
I honestly
Maybe it
think
was
there's
his-
just no rhyme or reason.
yeah, maybe it was his resilience as a Toa.
Though the reveal
something
that
that they
Valika
could
killed
do.
him actually was a very cool.
That
not
was
ret-
Yeah.
Technically, it is a retcon, but it's a retcon that makes
Not really,
sense.
because we were only told that he died in the Cataclysm.
But we know
left
for
up
that
to
that
us.
was what it was supposed to be at first.
But it was just
Yeah.
like
But
the
it's a
way
retcon
that it
of
was
one
like.
page of the Lego magazine. I think
I'm
we're
not
okay
saying
retconning that.
okay. Retcon does not always mean bad.
Yes, definitely. I do agree. I feel like it's the added information kind of retcon.
I mean,
you
and
know,
also what he says also makes a lot of sense. Is like, why did he die in the Great Cataclysm and literally no one else?
yeah, that is. It's good. It's good.
But I just like how it's like set up. It's like, oh yeah, he killed me. It's like, yes, I did. Huh? And then everybody turns around.
Okay, so it describes him as having like he has this big backpack on him. Is that what Valika has?
He has some kind of teleportation device.
Yeah.
on his
Yeah,
back,
like-
yeah.
But he like
Ju-
gathered up all the stuff from like the teleportation room. And
Like I
built
just
it.
really want to get the Valika set and make this comically oversized. backpack
now I
with
wanna do that,
thrusters
yes.
and blasters and everything.
It just
Mhm.
throw him in one of the hero jetpacks from Hero Factory. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah, the Rocka one. Perfect.
Oh yeah, the vehicles made an appearance in here by the 3 Toa that didn't drive them before.
That was nice. Yeah,
I'm glad they're being kept around.
me
It
too.
makes sense.
Mhm. Also,
They're
It
useful.
certainly does.
Proditus's involvement seemed very odd. I forgot about the whole breakout subplot.
They needed
Yeah,
a
he's the
car.
getaway driver.
He needed a car.
he's the getaway driver.
He's the car guy. The story needed a car. That's all it was.
Valika knew when he needs a ride, you call him Proditus.
It's nice to have him have some story relevance for people who liked his car.
Oh yeah,
And to
another
not be
meta
taken over by
reference they
Kiva.
put in was the concept names Axe Blade Flame Kick. That Greg wouldn't have put that in himself.
No,
there.
I
But,
think it
but they're funny.
walked better in that point. Though, you know, like I'm sure it would have been the Matoran language version of those names, but I think that fit well enough for
Yeah,
the
so
point
we-
Velika was trying to make.
Yeah, we discussed this. I think the last podcast.
The only
we
there
were
is a
talking about
slight
the story
pothole with
Bible.
it though, and
Mhm.
which is the
Pothole,
case
you
with
say?
the Toa Mata weren't the first 6 Toa, and they gave the other ones names before they were even created.
That is a very good point. They
Well,
broke the law. Darn
You,
it.
no.
No,
I
they
think
were
it'd be
never
resolved
the
that
first six,
the
were they?
those first Toa also didn't really have names until the Awakening.
They could have been named after their elements. Their name could directly translate to the element as well.
I think
Yeah.
the Toa Nuva's name technically does though, because that's why the prefixes
Yes.
are the elements. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
which then
Yeah.
again also doesn't quite go into it by that logic. Their
Because
names
Hellrix-
basically are the same thing as Hook, Flame.
No, you're not thinking about this the right way. We have to think about this the same way as you. Everything makes sense. You just got to think of the right explanation.
Okay, so that was on the concept stage of making the Nuva. And then Velika shot it down before they ever even got into production of any Toa. There we go.
Yeah, so we discussed when we were talking about the 2001 Story Bible, at least like behind the scenes anyway, that Velika might be Io.
Might be who?
Io,
Oh, yo.
the great being that was discussed in the Story Bible.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, considering that they're referencing this much, now they've got a pretty fresh one there.
But all of these, I think, were written before we got the story. Bible.
Yeah, but now, like, I think this will influence it going forward. I mean, they've got plenty of.
I
I'm
don't
not
think it's
sure.
going to influence it because they are trying. If they're trying to write from the perspective of Greg isn't pulling from that.
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I think this is sheer coincidence.
Maybe, who knows?
That's more so just in my head
this is a-
canon about.
This is a
Oh.
synchronicity that has occurred.
Yeah. So,
Also, I forget. I
they-
think it was in the other one though. They confirmed there are multiple female great beings as well. So the 6 great beings
that stands to
theory.
reason. That stands to reason.
Yeah.
So, they killed off Artaka.
But it works because he had all his children there with.
I like
also-
it. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say this made me feel satisfied because earlier when we were talking about how the Nuvus masks and everything else get there and why they just randomly appeared, and that being the explanation, I think it's more fitting now. Artaka's watching out for his kids.
Yeah, that was a
I
good
thought that was a
explanation.
nice touch.
But I also liked this part because it felt like, though I feel like the fight that actually ended up killing Artaka could have been fleshed out a bit more, because at one point it's just like it starts and then we don't come back to it, then all of a sudden
it's a
Well,
cutaway and then he's
It's
dead.
cut to black because we don't want to
I-
tip Velika's full hand.
yeah.
I have a feeling that they're not done with Artaka yet.
Oh, they are.
No,
I think
No.
he's
he's so final to me.
I think
He
he's
mentions-
as dead as a coffin nail.
I mean he does mention that he's always going to be with the Toa in some form. So I don't think they're done with his influence just yet.
Yeah, in
Well,
the
it's
same way that
influence.
in the same way that like when someone dies to influence the main character, they'll always be with him in his heart. That's I think that's the implication
I don't
here.
know. I don't know. I feel like
But
there's something more
seriously,
to this.
Otaka may be dead, but the Mask of Creation isn't.
Yeah, they
Who's
still
gonna
got
wear
that.
That's
Akimu's
what I'm
Who's gonna
thinking.
wear it?
Akimu.
Oh, shut up.
Well of time.
Well,
well of
I'm
time.
just thinking like
Amateur name
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
Kimu.
thinking like
They're not
Wouldn't that be
consulting
in the-
grade, they're consulting Christian
Wouldn't that
favor.
be like
I'm
the
just
worst
thinking in the
way for
same
this
way.
to go? Is then
Yeah,
they're
it
like,
would be.
hey, we're gonna tie everything together. The Hero
No,
Factory,
no,
the G2.
No,
You
The
know who should wear
Slicers,
it?
the Robo Riders, it's all connected. It's one big construction family.
Light
I'm just-
Pterodax should wear it.
I'm just thinking in the same way that like theoretically you could bring back Matanui at any point. Like he's not gone.
Yeah,
He's
he can
not
wake
dead.
up whenever the story needs.
He's
him.
just
he's
asleep.
sleeping.
But his
He just said
wish
now it is
was
that
for
time
them to
again.
find their own destiny, so that would be an unfortunate turn, in my opinion.
Thank you, Spirit.
The planet is safe. Now it is that time again.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like Artaka's death ended up being more impactful than like Matanui going
yes.
to stasis. Ended up being this was what the end of whatever that story was called. I forget what it was even called now.
Journey's End.
Yeah, Journey's End should have been. All the Toa are actually there, and then there's an
and it
actual
ends
death.
there, yeah.
I think imagine if they took some of these beats here where they actually wrapped up some of the more stuff like with the Red Star before Journey's End, and then placed this instead of Artaka's death at the end. They kind of just replace it
yeah.
with
In-
Makuta.
In the
actually
alternate
finishing up
universe where
Matanui.
Lego decided to ruin the Bionicle brand and just go forward with all 3 years of story.
You- it wouldn't have honestly. It probably would have sold better than G2 ever did in those 2 years.
Yes.
They probably
Yes.
lost a
Yeah.
ton of money on that decision.
You are correct. They brought it back too soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's even brought it back. I think it would have been better to let the brand fizzle out, honestly, because it's not going to be viable for so much longer, anyways. And by that point,
Yeah,
retailers
it's
would have
like-
forgotten what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think that cancellation order was made with different custodians, and then by the time the decision to bring it back was made, like
It was all just new people.
I think that they
Yeah.
just didn't know what they were doing with the cancellation, to be honest.
yeah.
yeah,
I
Wouldn't be
think,
the
it was,
first or
I
last
think it was a
time.
bad move. I think action
Yeah.
figures were on the way out, but they still had a few more years left. They could have milked a couple more years, finished up the trilogy, and ended it there. And then not tried to
Plus-
continue with Construction, just ended Construction there because it's gone now. No, it's true.
Oh,
I'm
mechs
not
have-
wrong.
Well, no,
mechs have
no,
proven
it
very,
lives on in the Star Wars mechs.
Mechs have
And
proven
Ninjago,
very lucrative. They have
apparently.
no
But-
intention of stopping mechs.
But yeah,
they
their
could
mechs
have,
are different because they have minifigures, and they're
But
they
the-
could have shifted in that
the-
direction.
The engineering can adapt into a buildable action figure line that's more in the vein of the rest of the Lego products.
But why does it work now? It's
Exactly.
action figures aren't selling though. It's Lego that's selling, and the mechs sell because they're cheaper Lego sets.
Yes. So
I
I have
think
a whole theme of
Ninjago
that.
and Monkey Kid have done very well with mechs themselves. There
Those are
could have
bigger
been
mechs than
Bionicle
Monkey
Lego
Kid,
sets.
that is not what I'm
Why
talking about.
can't Bionicle have had bigger mechs too?
Well, the Lego
Theoretically.
mechs are nothing like construction sets. They just build.
No.
The building experience is completely different.
It's just the gift with purchase Tahu made me think about all this. You know, that this feels like it could be proof of concept.
I would
Did
not
you
like.
see? I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but they put
Oh yeah,
black
the Onua
version
mask.
of the Bakari
Yes.
Yeah.
in the big
Yes,
Monkey
in
Kid
Monkey Kid.
set.
No, I didn't.
So you can make Onua.
Ah, this is my dream.
Are they gonna start
come
hiding
true, boy.
masks in other expensive sets?
Find the
Maybe.
masks.
Live the legend.
That's actually
Just
Two
pretty,
down.
that's
Just
pretty
as Christian
30 to
Faber
go.
intended.
That's actually pretty cool, though, to do. I think that's a neat
Yeah.
idea.
Oh my goodness, I just remembered this. So like Artaka makes a thing for Liwa, right?
Yes.
So it's like a psychic like blocker thing, right?
Chekhov's psychic blocker.
Should protect him from Velika for sure.
Yeah, so I need to explain myself for you guys. So when he made that, I thought of Alex Jones wearing the tinfoil hat, and I'm like, so he basically just made a tinfoil hat for Liwa.
So that's why you posted that image.
To block out the psychic projection
For
from the Velika deep state.
Ford, Ford.
But that's what it is. That's what it is.
Ford, you like get these assumptions in your head, and then you're so certain of yourself.
I am. Don't deny it.
It now makes
I'm not-
perfect sense that you've explained it why you would think to associate this scene with that image.
It's
Well,
just like,
I mean, I could also
Not that the
associate it with
association makes sense, but why you
I
would
could also
associate it.
associate it with signs, but you've never seen that before.
I have not seen signs, no.
Exactly.
it's just. It always fascinates me, Ford, how you latch on to certain things.
Somebody has to.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, also keep in mind that the power inhibitor was a cube, and their only real reference for that was the battery to the robot. So why'd it have to be a cube?
The cube.
Like it
I
could
don't
have
know.
just been like a pendant or something.
In the time before time.
The cube is a little more
the
bionicle than a
cube.
pendant, I
I
think.
think some of it's way less deliberate than you might think.
It's a
Oh.
Rubik's cube.
A Rubrik's cube.
No,
Just like in the Lego movie. Now we've attached the Lego movie to Bionicle.
There we go.
Yeah,
It's the
overall,
piece of
polish it.
resistance all along.
Yeah, are we gonna add the removing polish of Nail to this now?
Yes.
Okay.
It will be one of the great beings creations
yeah,
coming up.
overall, these were a satisfying reading experience. I'm not sure about the whole going forward and finishing up the rest of them thing. I'm very wary of that. But for Powers That Be, I feel like now I have a much better taste in my mouth for the end of Bionicle overall after reading that. I feel
Yeah.
it just wrapped up things nicely, and honestly, I could accept it as canon.
Yeah.
Me too.
It doesn't fix the feelings that were had back in 2010. on to
Nothing ever will.
2013. But it does reframe the story in a fun way.
It reframes it in a better way than the community left it in the time in between.
That's also true.
So, I mean, honestly, in my head canon, Powers That Be especially is how it happened. The way they
And
wrote
that
here.
True Believers is exactly how it
It's a good choice.
I mean, I'm not
So
going
where
to
do
talk to
we,
any other Bionicle fans except you guys ever again, so...
Well, I think it's the other way
So
around. I think it's
all
that
the
the other
healthier for
Bionicle
it.
fans don't want to talk to you. Just saying.
No,
You know,
No,
for
I'm pretty
reasons.
sure it's the other way around. It might be
I don't know.
mutual, but I doubt he has any interest in talking.
only a few
talking to
people
them.
know who I am, and, you know, they've broken federal laws, so
Yeah.
you know who you are.
I hope they're not listening.
I hope they are.
I hope they're not subscribed.
Me too.
I know one of them's not in jail.
I don't, have
Yet,
any of
but
them went
should
to
be.
jail?
must preface
I
with
know
yet.
a couple of them that should be in jail.
Yeah, some of them should definitely be in jail.
Well, we
Only
can
a
have-
matter of
That's a
time.
topic for another episode.
So where
Yes,
is
a
the
final
story?
episode.
Yeah. So where's the story gonna go from here?
Well, the
Well, to
Velika
me,
War for
We're-
sure.
Yeah, it's the Great Being Civil War.
Yeah, but like
I
when?
think of it as over.
Yeah.
It's only
Like,
just
what is-
begun.
I'm not
Yeah,
going
like
to
what is the next big
anticipate anything
story?
else. I'm gonna wait, and then if it happens to be good and people tell me it's good, then I might read it. But
Alright.
for all intents and purposes, this pleasantly surprised me. I'm gonna enjoy it for what it is. and move on.
That is fair.
I will not be as passive as Liam.
I
this
want
is setting
more
up.
now.
This is setting up the classic Bionicle
No,
conflict.
see,
You
I
have
would-
too many pieces to keep count.
I would love
it
for it to
going
have
on the
more and more,
planet.
but you know, I'm very afraid of being disappointed because, for
Yeah, I
one,
know.
Bionicle brand projects never finish.
Yeah,
and
I
they've
know.
just jinxed themselves by not actually having this be the end. For two,
Yeah,
That's
someone
true.
could do something really stupid.
That's also true.
I mean,
But a
you
lot
know-
of stupid has come its way.
I've been in RSG long enough to see that happen
I know.
many times over.
RSG is probably one of the big reasons that I am skeptical to believe in anything Bionicle.
I want to believe.
I'm not afraid to publicly say RSG was an embarrassing failure of a project.
No, we're still going to get the show out. I've recorded some lines and everything. It's just not going to be live.
How many years ago, Leo?
It started in 2016. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe it's 2017. Was it 2017 when you DM'd me the link?
I don't remember. I left
I don't know.
a while, so long ago, and I did not leave even for the Bionicle portion of it. I left for personal reasons.
Yeah.
Not my own personal reasons from other people. I'm sorry, Leo. You're still in bed. I shouldn't say stuff publicly.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Lahari knows stuff hasn't been going as well as it should have.
Yeah, it is honestly true that RSG is a
I mean,
big portion of what soured.
The
Things
game
slowly.
is playable. You can play the RPG. There's also a war game, and you can play that. The war game
it
is
fun?
just 8th edition Warhammer 40,000, but it has alternating activations, which makes it better.
You know, someone should just have like a war game that you could. I mean, I guess you could just use Lego pieces for any, but you could do like
That's what Brick Wars is.
Brick Wars. What's that? I don't know what Brick Wars is.
Well, let me tell you.
You know what? That's probably better for another episode, isn't it?
It probably
Really?
Okay,
is.
we've got a bit over time here, so I think it's good to end on a positive note. I like these serials. Yeah. This was extremely pleasantly surprising.
Oh yeah.
Whoever did it, pat yourself on the back. You did a good job.
Jeff Douglas, you're at created by Jeff Douglas at the title of everyone after the Greg.
Huh, never read that part.
You didn't read the title.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
Jeff. I've never had
a
any interaction
Discord
with
for
Jeff.
Brick Wars.
And it's probably
You might have
what is
just
this?
under a different username.
Do
I don't know
a
what
screen name.
I don't know. I don't know if that's Gonal or someone else.
Gonal? I don't know Gonal.
You've seen him around.
When I search Jeff Douglas, I get the Canadian actor born in 1971.
I don't think that's the same person. Join Brick Wars.
I don't know. He looks like a Bionicle fan to me.
Oh god.
Jeffrey Douglas, Main Street Home Loans.
Oh, that's got to be him.
Jeff Douglas of North Carolina State. Anyway, no, well, good job to him. I enjoyed these, and I will go and read them if I hear good things about the future serials.
I'll have my eye on them.
All right. Otherwise, that's gonna about do it for us this week. If you'd like to discuss the Bionicle serials, please join the BCC Crew Discord server. You can talk about them, talk about all the latest LEGO news. We've got a lot of episode topics that we need to get out in the next few weeks. So we might try and still double up on some episodes in the coming weeks. You might see a live episode and a pre-recorded episode come out for the next couple weeks. We'll see if we can actually get it, because we were supposed to do one tonight, and we all spent it trying to catch up on the reading instead.
Totally worth it.
Because we all put this off until the last minute for reasons not yet understand.
To be fair,
Yeah.
I finished Powers That Be. And then we did the Story Bible episode instead, because not everyone else finished it.
That was pressing. Well, it was also breaking news.
But yeah, do we have any more Bionicle topics on the back burner? I think we've actually finished most of them for the time being.
Just the theology stuff. And
Yeah,
that's,
so that we can get back
that's
to
in
that.
every other series.
Yeah, so that's probably going to get back to in the Yeah, so that's probably going to get back to in the new year, I'm guessing, this rate.
Probably.
Because we've got sets to discuss and probably going to take a small break over Christmas because people are usually traveling around. We've got to schedule our Christmas party.
That's right. Christmas party.
We still got a lot more episodes to finish off
Christmas party.
2024.
Oh, good. Hot chocolate and photo album.
Yeah, so be on the lookout. Got a lot more episodes left for 2024 and also some things
You
coming.
mean 2023?
Yeah, 2023 and big things
Yeah.
to us coming in 2024. We'll see what makes it feel. There will be some stuff. I think we can say now at this point. Look forward to stuff for the 10-year anniversary of the BCC.
That's very specific.
Something more than just the book reviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Something that literally no one but the people that actually care about like the BCC as a group will really care too much about. But
That's okay. We don't care about any audience except the core one of
it's true.
people.
It's true. Look on that. Maybe we'll even do a giveaway or something.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, lots to come. But we'll see you in the rest of the episodes for this year and in the year to come. Maybe more Bionicle in the future, but definitely more theology in the future. Next week, probably going to discuss the Ninjago sets, and that's going to be an interesting topic.
There's a lot of news to cover.
There
Oh,
is. But
I also want to talk about the Lego City Space.
oh, yes, and Technic Space and Dream Space.
Lots of space.
For Ford, Leo, Mace, and myself, LQ. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.